get the food inside you. So in your exam paper, you can describe all these sort of horrible things that the barber surgeon did, but make sure you don't make them sound like they were ignorant. Actually,
good point. Right.
were like the best things
Actually, not ignorant. Contemporary knowledge.
Right at the beginning. They would examine people's wee. They'd examine people's wee to see what colour it is.
In the urine jar?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. In a urine jar.
The class realised that Tony's got his jar of urine mixed up with his chart of urine.
And depending on what colour it is, they would decide what treatment the person needed. Nowadays, we've got different ways of working that out, but at that time they didn't. So, and actually, to be honest, drinking a bit of wee ain't going to kill you. It's an antiseptic. So, OK, we've talked, haven't we, about the barber surgeons.
Looking down the sort of lesson observation sheet that I would have if I was doing this, I'll be finding a hell of a lot of gaps where I've got nothing to put because there isn't things happening.
Why do you think so much of what I'm talking about had to do either with wee or poo? Yeah.
Because conditions in them days, they had lots of that around anyway, from the sewers and that, so...
That's the big point, isn't it?
As well as having to teach, Tony's fighting against that Friday afternoon feeling.
Attention now is beginning to go. There's a couple of yawns, and it's late in the day. This is a graveyard lesson. Traditionally, everything else people learn better in the morning, but we have these lessons. They have got to be as good as the one you get first thing in the morning.
Probably the two most powerful chemicals that you could find were wee and poo, not necessarily human. I mean, they used an awful lot of chicken poo and dog poo and Lord knows what.
It's kind of, riveting their attention with toilet humour at this point, isn't it? I mean, I'm not degrading from the honesty of what he's doing.
And then they hack all the fat off and peel all the hair off, and then they start to polish it, just like you said. And that's how it gets that sort of extraordinary sweet smell. So they use enormous...
Having run out of steam on the winning combination of wee and poo, Tony gives the class some written work about the use of worms in food and medicine.
If a poor person was really, really ill and they came to see her, she'd say, what you need is worm stew. Worm stew is magic. Can you just think, you've got 10 worms, right? You've got them in your kitchen. I want you to think about how you would prepare them for somebody to eat.
The class have 1 minute to complete the exercise.
Are you going to have a sauce to go on top of them?
OK, now stop them now. Stop them, see what they've got.
Nearly 5 minutes later, and unsure of how to stop them, even Tony's smile is beginning to fade.
No, it's in a minute, stop them.
Another 10 seconds or so and then we'll stop.
Well, why not? We've had half an hour.
OK, how are you going to persuade us to eat your worms?
Okay, serve them in a salad with fresh tomatoes.
Serve them in a salad with fresh tomatoes.
And chop them into noticeable tiny bits.
Chop them into unnoticeable tiny bits. And it's a very good idea. How about you?
Mash them up and put them into a soup.
Mash them and put them into a soup, yeah.
Boil the rice and put them on top with some sauce on top as well.
So rice. Actually, it's an enormous variety, isn't it? It's brilliant. And you?
That's nice.
Sorry, she's getting very defensive.
Now, this isn't greatly relevant.
Have you ever heard there's a word toady, which means someone who's really creepy?
And I thought he was going to go somewhere else there, but he hasn't.
And that's just about all I've got time for. So the three jobs that might be of use to you if you want to jot them down.
As the class draws to a close, Tony tries to nail down the highlights of his lesson.
I'll let you be the judge of how impressed your examiner will be by the fact that you've got that piece of knowledge.
Unsure of how to bring the class to an end, Tony simply exits stage right.
And my time is up, and I've got to go. And you've been absolutely brilliant, and thanks ever so much. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did. See you.
You're going to leave them, great. Okay, he's going to walk out.
Someone will come and.
I think someone will come and tell you what to do. Bye-bye. No, round of applause, clap, no, nothing. What are they going to do now? I'm going to sit and look at them. I'm just going to sit and look at them and see what they do, because he's going to walk in here.
I'm going to walk in here. I've just walked in here.
He just walked in here. What are you going to do with him, Tony? What are you going to do with him? Leave him there?
I don't know. No, I had no idea. I thought I was supposed to finish at 1:45, so I finished.
That's fine. I better go and
and I said that someone would come in.
All right, yeah, of course so. Okay, perhaps I should sort it out before.
And then
I better
you'll
go
come
and
back here
dismiss him.
and
I'll come back here and praise
tell me
him. Yeah.
what I cocked up. In a way, I don't know. Maybe I just enjoyed it too much. I got through about 10% of what I was aiming to get through, and I don't know whether I managed to link it to what they were doing. But I love that stuff, and I just wanted to share my love for it with them. But I suppose maybe that's just kind of the raw motivation behind teaching. What I haven't got is the skill, the strategy, the command, all those other things that you're supposed to have as well. So whether they'll have learnt anything, I don't know. But I wasn't frightened. I thought I'd be frightened. But I wasn't frightened.
Before Tony has his debrief with Colin, the pupils give their verdict.
I think he was a really good teacher. We learned a lot from him.
I just think it was just basically what we already knew, but it just kind of refreshed it.
It was crap. It was just boring. I thought his jokes would be better, but they weren't. It was just boring.
I really enjoyed the lesson, and he can be my teacher anytime. It was really great.
I really liked it. I liked the sense of humour and the detail.
He's a really good teacher and gave us some experience. I think his timing could have been better though.
Well, Tony, that's the lesson done. I've got to do this debrief. You seem a little bit more relaxed now than you were before. I mean, you actually showed in this sort of some lovely hints of ways of tying things together, of drawing out of the kids' ideas. The idea of the worms was lovely. I didn't know where you were going.
Neither did I.
To start with. And we spent much too long on that. You gave them a minute, about 6 times.
No, I had no idea what to do there, because it seemed to me that actually a few of them were starting to get off on it.
That's what I said.
And because they were getting off on it, I gave them more time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was one of those moments where actually what I wanted to do was rush down to you in the next classroom and say, there are 2 roads I can go down. Yeah. Which do I do? Yeah. I gave them too long.
You picked the wrong one.
Sorry. Thanks, buddy.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, what you wanted was 2 or 3 people who were going to come up with something. Yeah. You'd say, right, yeah. That's what a wise woman had to do. You had to think in these terms. You had to make people... What else did she do?
The other reason that I gave them longer was because there were 2 or 3 who hadn't been contributing all that much, or hadn't got. I didn't know if it was that they hadn't got the confidence, or whether they didn't know how to. Who had really stuck in there and were writing with that kind of slow, painful writing.
If you can see that somebody's actually scribbling down, they've got the thought. Ask them for the thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
You don't have to. You didn't actually need them to.
I didn't need them to have written it down. They could have just.
Was the thought. Yeah. We should have driven it on. The pity was you dropped the punchline. You told them what they were doing.
The strategy thing.
You're actually making a worm palatable.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Before you got the recipes.
If pupils need praise, so do first-time teachers.
Right. Things to work on. A few more, I'm afraid. Right. We start off with, you motivate, you engage, you challenge. You started the lesson, you didn't introduce yourself. They all know who you were. Basically, you would have failed probably within the first 10 minutes. Because
Receiving a good talking to looks like it might be bringing back some bad memories for our guest teacher.
Yeah, we have 25 hours of teaching a week, and we've got to use every minute as valuable as we can. Your subject knowledge was obviously good. You did miss at one point, the kid talked about the urine chart.
Oh, I couldn't hear.
You got
do you know that
something else?
No, that
Yeah.
was. I tell you what, that was sheer nervousness on my part because I couldn't hear what he was saying. I didn't know whether English was his first language, and I just didn't know how to handle that moment.
Right. I thought it probably was a misunderstanding. But approaches, it was didactic, wasn't it? It was you talking with a little bit. You know, there's more senses. So we've got to think about getting them proactive, getting them involved very much quicker. You moved around the room fairly well. I know it's difficult with the layout it is to move elsewhere, but I'd be a bit wary, you know, in some instances, actually just standing right at the back of the room with your back to most of them.
I had no
with the
confidence
kid.
in that. I knew what I was doing there.
Yeah.
For Tony, criticism of his teaching technique is one thing, but picking on an old Thest's ability to work the room is quite another.
I think your criticisms of my ability to teach, I think, are absolutely spot on. But I knew how to control that room. That was never an issue for me.
Shouldn't be drinking the tea. That's
why is that?
It's a health and safety issue as to hot drinks in a situation, right? They are.
Sounds a bit pathetic. It was pretty cold. It's cold and rather disgusting.
Cold and rather, well, we knew you were coming. Not the best idea just to wander off. What do I do?
Sir, I was underbriefed.
Yes, you were underbriefed as what to do at the end. Are you going to take up the job? Are you going to go and train? Because you could do it.
I felt like that student teacher on their first day when they haven't got somebody in the next room who can bail them out.
Yeah. The bits you've added were of interest. Now, in terms of how relevant that's going to be to their exam.
So I've got to go to teacher training college now.
You have to go to college now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for your help.
Thanks.
Cheers. I felt really good when I left the classroom. I'd had a good time, and if that sounds selfish, I just feel that in most experiences of life, if you've had a good time, it's quite likely other people will have. So I was a bit disappointed by being quite so savaged by Colin, but you know, fair enough. Teaching is an incredibly complex skill. So I don't think I was as didactic as Colin says, but maybe teachers watching would agree with him rather than me. In a way, it was a little bit of a cheat, not deliberately, I have to say, in that it was about wee and poo, and Tony Robinson at 15 would have loved anything to do with wee and poo, and the idea of a teacher saying those two words would have kept him happy for a week. I could never become a teacher because of the repetition. I have so much respect for teachers who I think have been treated with something bordering on contempt for far too long, and I've never felt that, but coming away this afternoon, you know, the teachers are one of the big dynamics in our society. I haven't got the skills to do it, but boy, you know, respect for those who have.